Have you visited us online for the grand opening of KBLA.store? For the best in new merch, gift ideas, books, media, and more, log on to KBLA.store. Be sure to check out our KBLA team favorites at KBLA.store today. That's KBLA.store for all the official merch on your favorite talk radio station, KBLA Talk 1580.
Your bounce is back.
You are locked in to RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580, Hour 2. Look, we have a lot to talk about, as the station says. This is the show where we hit all the trending topics and headlines across entertainment, sports, and lifestyle and culture. And in Hour 2, we're going to continue discussing Brittany Renner and her interview with Shannon Sharpe. Going to get into her comments about her time at HBCUs a little bit. And, of course, we're going to talk about Ebony K. Williams and women earning the Mrs. degree while at college. And, you know, I've seen a lot of the chatter that's going on, and a lot of women, surprisingly, are like, girl, no.
I was about to say, are they upset at her like they were upset at Tyler Perry? Do they feel like they're being told what to do and how to live and not to settle and when to settle and how to do it?
I mean, we'll give this a preview because we're going to get to it in a second. But they basically, some of the comments that I have seen have indicated that they believe that Ebony is projecting based on her personal experiences. So that, you know, what she wishes she would have done. And I don't know, there's a conversation to be had, and we will have it shortly. But on this Brittany Renner subject, I thought it was interesting that, well, I guess I'm going to play the clip first, and then I will tell you what I hear. Because what I hear may not be what you hear, but it is what I hear in this little segment about HBCUs and how Brittany was treated by the young ladies that also were in attendance.
Because there were a lot of HBCUs that had predominantly white players.
Right.
When those players were on the field calling us N-word,
right,
it wasn't half of me was enraged or, that don't apply to me. You know, I'm only half.
Right.
We're all fighting.
Right.
So that's why for me it's like, whatever color my skin is, baby, let's go. Let's start up, let's go. Because you're not going to talk to us like that.
Right.
So half or not.
How was it, soccer aside, you're not on the soccer field. You walk into class, you're in the student center, or you're in the yard. I mean, how would the women at Jackson State treat Brittany?
I felt very much accepted. I feel like black people are the most accepting people on this planet. And if they don't accept you, it's because something's off with you. That's what it is. That's what I learned. Hey, I'm both, so I can say that.
Right.
Okay. I've seen both sides.
Right.
And I feel like they're the most understanding, the most compassionate, the most accepting, the most open.
So, one, I feel like Shannon was trying to prop her up for something a little bit, right? For a conversation that we often hear. And depending upon, you know, your era, which side you land on this, it can be a complicated conversation. We know Brittany is biracial. We know, as I mentioned, she was predominantly raised by her white grandparents. And the majority of her friends, she said that she would go and find like the token girl. There weren't that many black people, period, let alone biracial, in the small town that she grew up in. She grew up near the Gulf, close to Louisiana and Mississippi. But she said that, she would go and make friends with the tokens, but mostly, she had white friends. And I felt like Shannon was trying to get her to say, and this happens, but I'm glad it didn't happen to her, that the black girls were mean to her and picked on her and weren't friendly, giving us the tragic mulatto sort of trope. And here's the thing, that we have those wars that happens, but I'm glad she pointed out how accepting black people were, more accepting than white people with her predicament. And we have this conversation as of late about the one drop rule and why are biracials, why do black people automatically accept them in, and it's slave mentality. But again, it points to most of the time, not all the time, it's the mother or that family that's going to take them in and give them that unconditional reach that doesn't necessarily happen on the white side, right? Because we all have, a white great grandparent or something in our books, but we don't jump to say, oh, I'm white, or, push that side of us and are accepted in. But it kind of happens with black women. So I felt that it was refreshing that she wasn't like, yeah, all the black girls were mean to me. But I also feel like Shannon was kind of looking for that narrative, and I think that is a little interesting but reflective, especially of the time, his age range, and sort of the attitudes growing up. So if you have any thoughts on that?
Do you think maybe he was just trying to test her blackness and see how black she was?
No.
Okay.
No, because he was very giggly in this interview or whatever. I mean, here's the thing. She's an attractive young lady, right? Yeah. And what I find, especially men, when they get into, a certain phase of their life, right? And it's not to say that they don't like women their age or that they don't connect with them, but sometimes maybe they feel like they're a drain or a drag, right? That they have, because of experience, has them a little jaded, so maybe they don't enjoy the company. So when they're talking to someone who's younger, who may not have the same life experience and may still be in awe of
or
certain
they just want to
aspects
see if
of
they
stories,
still have it because they're
maybe.
older.
I just felt he was very giggly in the interview,
But I also think that black people are some of the most accepting and understanding people of all time. So, and I also see both sides of it too, because black people, that's kind of our way to, kind of not even accept you, but we kind of see what you're made of. We kind of test you a little bit to, before we welcome you all the way in certain environments. So I can kind of see.
He wasn't testing her.
No, I'm just talking about her experience with the mean girls, the black mean girls.
She didn't, but that's the thing. She said she didn't mention anything about black
but
mean girls.
I can see both sides of it. How sometimes we're like that when we don't really know about a person. We kind of test them out a little bit to see what they're made of. But
yeah, chicks are mean.
Yeah, but also
they can be, 100%.
Black people are accepting too, and to a fault almost.
So I thought it was important because we get a lot of battles about, biracial women, and these women are jealous, and this one, and because of men. And she did say, though, that she got her glow up when she got to college. She was overlooked when she was younger. She was not considered the beauty. She wasn't the popular girl. And she came into her own when she got to college. She said she was a late bloomer. So I thought all of these things were interesting and kind of helped to shape her character and what's out there. But she is a little tick boom. But I like her. She's straight shooter. I like it. When we come forward, we'll get into more about Brittany Renner. We're also going to talk Ebony K. Williams and the Mrs. degree, plus more trending topics and headlines. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
RSVP with Jill Munroe is your go-to show for staying in the know. More engaging conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Have you heard about Lendistry? Lendistry is a national Black-led small business lender that is headquartered right here in LA. Once you've started your business, Lendistry provides flexible financing options starting at $50,000 to help you access the affordable capital needed to grow. Whether financing is needed to increase working capital, acquire a business, purchase inventory and equipment, or refinance debt, Lendistry has a solution for you. Lending products range from traditional business term loans and non-revolving lines of credit to SBA 7A loans and commercial real estate financing. Lendistry's pre-application process is simple and does not impact your credit score. Visit lendistry.com/KBLA to learn more and to get started with an application right from the website.
Sometimes we lose, sometimes we win. Sometimes we try to fit it all in. Sometimes we don't know what's in store. Sometimes we find what we're looking for. Sometimes we're rolling easy and free. Sometimes 1 and 1 makes 3. So much to love along this ride. That's why Nationwide is on your side.
Nationwide Mutual Insurance Company and Affiliates, Columbus, Ohio.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
For all of us, this generation and the next, there is simply no place in our lives for litter. And yet, it's everywhere we look, and unfortunately, it does belong to all of us. So let's come together and create a litter-free, clean California once and for all. Remember to properly dispose of your trash and recycling. Secure truckloads with tarps to keep debris from flying out. Clean out your car when you're at the gas station. Take pride in your community by organizing a cleanup event or join a cleanup event near you. Zero litter is the goal. Join us at cleanca.com. That's cleanca.com. Let's do it together. Brought to you by Caltrans. cleanca.com.
Hey, keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You were locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Now, listen, I know that you guys are excited to talk about this because I'm excited to talk about this. But before we get into that, I want to get into the Wayne Brady story really quickly.
There's a Wayne Brady story?
Yeah, I talked about it in the open. You don't remember in the rundown?
Kind of.
So Wayne Brady has said, I'm not hiding anything now. So he's proud to, you remember 6 weeks ago, he came out as pansexual. Mm-hmm. He revealed that, he thinks that this announcement will positively enhance his dating life.
He's co-parenting with his wife and her boyfriend, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He said, it would be hard for me to truly put myself 100% into a relationship when there's this nagging doubt that I have not explored that piece of me or even given voice to having that option. It doesn't mean that it's ever going to manifest itself in a relationship with a man or a relationship with this person. I don't know. But at least being able to voice that so that if I go into a relationship, whomever I'm in a relationship with knows me 100%. I think that's the piece that was missing that I couldn't verbalize because I couldn't lock on to it. I always felt this. It was a little dishonest, that I was being slightly dishonest. There was no way to truly give 100% of yourself. Now I feel differently about that because I went in like, oh, well, so now you know. So if you choose to be involved with me, Wayne in totality. I'm not hiding anything. And now I can approach everything from that perspective. So That's what Wayne Brady said on Entertainment Tonight about his new stance. He said, the best part is now that I've said it out loud, I don't have to worry. I could show up at a red carpet. I could be at Denny's for all you know, and I'm not ducking anybody because it is what it is, and I'm free to do that.
Good for him.
That's it?
That's it. Good for him.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get into this Mrs. Degree.
Because, I mean, come on. Good for him.
Do you think that people will be accepting?
Let people live their life. And I think that people, you know, here's the thing.
Like, I totally agree he should live his life. And I do feel him with the burden of not having to deal with that. But do you think that, well, I guess it depends on, I feel like, but I don't know if he really wants that.
Some people are always going to have something to say.
It's not about I'm not talking about the outsiders, right? That is what it is. I'm saying, do you think, and it's hard to say, I don't particularly know if he wants a black woman or not. Doesn't seem to be part of his dating pattern, I don't know.
I think ultimately, I think all black people want to be with black people. But I think that as a whole, we have so many hang-ups, so many taboos that we don't really talk about, that we might be with, that we don't talk enough to even know these things to have a resolve. So I think if he found the right woman that checked kind of all his boxes and was with all the stuff that he was with, because it does exist.
I mean, yeah. He just has to find it.
He just has to find it. And I don't think that we as a culture are to a place where we can actually talk about all the stuff that we are actually for real interested in without being judged and freely being ourselves.
Nobody's telling him that what he's looking for is a unicorn that doesn't exist and he's going to be, banished to a life alone. But that's another story.
Yeah, but I kind of think that maybe in a roundabout way, he has been told that in some way. That's why he's having at this juncture that he's in right now.
Okay. Well, we shall see. All right. So right before, this is perfect timing, right? I just want to share this with you before we get into the Ebony story. If any of you guys are fans of Tinder, right? I guess they have a premium tier. There are tiers on Tinder. I don't know. I've never played with it. It is now upping the cost, and for this premium tier, it will include a VIP search and matching, and making it easier for you to find your forever love for $500 a month. Cinco cero cero.
Honey, just go to 7-Eleven and go outside and talk to people. And you can skip all that.
Just swipe through Instagram. It's cheap and it's free.
Go outside and talk for free.
Don't nobody want to talk to nobody at 7-Eleven? What you mean?
See that right there is the problem.
The problem with who?
You never know who you're gonna run into at the 7-Eleven.
Perhaps. But I'm not chatting it up with somebody that's hanging out in front of 7-Eleven.
I'm not going to tell you what celebrity from the 80s I ran into at the 7-Eleven getting coffee one night at 2 in the morning, but it was a gag, and I hollered. I was like, what are you doing at 7-Eleven at 2 in the morning?
That don't mean nothing. Exactly. What are you doing at 7-Eleven?
It was a great conversation.
Okay.
I even got her to sign up for Twitter that night.
So listen, Ebony K. Williams.
I'll tell you during the commercial break. We should get her on the show.
Ebony K. Williams.
We can talk about that story.
We would love to. Ebony K. Williams, from formerly of the Real Housewives of New York. She's a commentator, legal commentator. On her show that is on the Griot, talked about the Mrs. Degree. Now, this is a concept that has been around for quite some time, right? A lot of white women, especially in the 50s and 60s, 70s, 80s, were encouraged to go to college, not just to find a career, but to find a husband. It's part of the plan. Moms talked about it. It wasn't a secret. It's, one of the things, maybe a cultural difference between, black women and white women. Definitely something that I've heard and was familiar with. So we're going to listen to Ebony's comments, and then, we're going to talk a bit about some of the complaints about her comments. And then I'm going to follow that up with some stats. What's funny, Trent?
Nothing.
All right. So let's hear Ebony's comments.
The reality that needs to be said out loud is that as black men age, their desirability increases. Thus, their optionality of women is always expanding. And the exact opposite is true for black women. As we age, doesn't matter how much money we accumulate, our degrees or professional accolades, the reality is that our marriage and partnership market value is depreciating with every passing year. No matter how good we look, no matter how fit we are, men are still seeing primarily our presumed dwindling fertility as a knock against us. And speaking of fertility, that is another reason that I want younger black women to seek marriage and partnership in college or right after, if that's what they choose. Because the number of college-educated black men is so low when compared to black college-educated women that we're all going to be targeting the same small pool of men. And as we heard today, on most campuses, there's like 7 black women students for every 1 black man student. Y'all do the math. So here's my advice. If you are a young black woman in college and you know in your heart and in your head that you want to prioritize family, I suggest that you simultaneously pursue that MRS degree right along with that BA or JD. Because the handful of black college-age men that actually do desire to get married soon, and they do share that value system, and family is a priority for them too, y'all, that is an incredibly small pool, and it's shrinking as you get older. And by the time you reach my age, 40, you will be faced with different choices relating to life partnership and motherhood. Now, I'm not saying that delaying marriage or motherhood is a bad option, but it's one that comes with its own consequences. And our women deserve to know on the front end of their decision making instead of on the back half.
So listen, people were upset because they're like, marriage shouldn't be the goal, blah, 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 blah. People shouldn't get married young. There's a whole set of problems that come with that, which I do agree with. But I think one thing that she said is key. She said, if you are a young woman who is marriage minded, that family is a part of that equation, you do need to start thinking about it while you're in college. And I'll tell you why. For black men and black women, those that go to college are the ones that are more likely to marry. As the black man climbs, right, we know that education-wise, and though high school educated black men are catching up, but we know as your education level rises, the more likely you are to date out and get involved with other women, right, of other races. So that, again, shrinks the pool. We've been having this conversation about black women being too picky, whether they should want someone that is on their level or not, right? Well, again, like she said, marriage-minded men in college, generally those couples, when they meet of the same level, they marry each other and they go on to have higher achievements. They stay together. But if you get that black man out of that ecosystem, he may not come back, if that is your concern, right? As your finance levels go up, they are more likely to marry outside of their race. Again, if these things are a concern to you. And they seem to be, because everyone's always breaking down the black woman's odds, how they needed to be realistic. What did I say last week? It was the black woman delusional. It was the delusional calculator, because they said that, what we want doesn't exist. But at the same time, if she's saying to women, hey, start looking for that in college, then that's wrong too. Let people cook, however, but the statistics show that that is the time, especially for black couples. If they want to succeed, that's when they'll link up, and that is where they're more likely to grow from. And as the black man gets further and further away from that, he makes other options and other choices. So And if you want to check my stats, right? If you want to check the numbers, I will tell you where I got them from because I've had them for a long time. I looked this up. It is from the Pew Research Center. This study took place in 2017 about intermarriage numbers and relationships as they are based on race. I mentioned the other night that Black women and Asian men are the ones that date outside of their race the least. And they are the ones, like, as far as the levels have been climbing to for obviously marriages outside of the Black community since the 80s, but Black men are far outpacing Black women. It's like 3-1 as far as that involving marriage, and then marriage out, of other races in totality. So she's not wrong with her math. If that is something that is important to you, that is probably the time, unfortunately, based on the realities that everyone wants us to take into consideration. We can take those realities in consideration if we're saying, go get with a bus driver, but not if we're saying, hey, if you want to start a family and these things too. We can't count that and look at that. So I don't know. Trent, what do you have to say?
I agree with her. Excuse me. I'm just thinking about all the Black couples that I saw. Well, and here's the caveat. I went to HBCU 2 times over, so it's just Black people around, and that is the time to date and to hook up. And I'm just thinking about all the couples that I know that got, together in college and that got married right after college, and where they are now. So it makes total and complete sense, and that I think that is the opportune time to do it because you're building. You have an understanding of people's value systems. It makes all the sense just right there.
And you're probably planning to grow together in that thing. And she was right on point. Like, listen, of course we don't think that we're less than. Of course we don't think that our value diminishes when we get older. But the setup conventionally has been women get older, men get distinguished.
True.
Something that was alluded to. Mackie Samuels in the chat says, yes, women should be proactive about pursuing healthy relationships that could lead to marriage when they are in college. Susan Patton, the Princeton mom, said the same as Ebony K. Williams. When we come actually, we have a call. Mimi from Jacksonville is on the line. Mimi, check in with us. Let us know what is your thoughts on this topic.
Hey, Jill. Hey, Trent.
Good evening,
everyone.
Thanks for calling.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I think this conversation is needed. For me, as a Black woman, I am really tired of this narrative. White women, Asian women, Hispanic, when they say they want a financially successful man, it's fine. It's absolutely fine. But Black women, when we say we want a financially successful man, suddenly it's a problem. Suddenly, no, wait. As long as he's a good man, as long as he has good morals, good standards, it's okay if he just pays a light bill and you pay thousands of dollars a month in bills. It's fine. Just settle. For years, it's been Black women, just settle, just settle, just settle. But, on the other hand, Black men tell us constantly, I don't want to date a woman that works at Walmart. I'm not dating a woman that works at the ice cream shop. I'm not going to build a woman. But they want us to build a man. It's a double standard, and honestly, it's frustrating, and I'm tired of it.
I know that's right, Mimi. When we come forward, we will have more trending topics and headlines, more on this particular subject. The YouTube chat is lit up on it. You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. News and Sports is up next.
We've heard in each other. Girl, it's a shame. I won't be foolish, no.
Trending topics and the hottest happenings. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm
Esther Dillard, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Senate leaders on both sides of the aisle are calling for the House to avoid a government shutdown. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer said on the Senate floor that House Republicans need to stop catering to the whims of the hard right. Kentucky Republican and Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell said his colleagues need to pass short-term funding legislation and avoid a harmful and unnecessary government shutdown. The black U.S. soldier who crossed into North Korea without permission is back in American custody. State Department spokesman Matthew Miller thanked China and Sweden for helping U.S. Army Private Travis King leave North Korea. King was taken into North Korea custody in July after he bolted across the DMZ during a tour. And the Portland Trail Blazers have reportedly agreed to send NBA superstar Dame Lillard to the Milwaukee Bucks as part of a 3-team deal. I'm Esther Dillard on the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
NexGard Plus, a Foxolaner moxidectin and parental chewable tablets, is the one you want for your dog's monthly protection. Use with caution in dogs with a history of seizures or neurologic disorders. Ask your veterinarian about NexGard Plus Chews today.
Gotta stay fresh, my house shot with a rest bar,
Have you visited us online for the grand opening of KBLA.store? For the best in new merch, gift ideas, books, media, and more, log on to KBLA.store. Be sure to check out our KBLA team favorites at KBLA.store today. That's KBLA.store for all the official merch on your favorite talk radio station, KBLA Talk 1580.
Joey from Vermont, a farmer trying to get through the winter. Adriana from South Carolina, a single mother living paycheck to paycheck. Liam from Ohio, an injured father struggling to provide for his family. Hi, I'm Shanola Hampton, and I support the Feeding America network of food banks because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
The rent is too damn high. KBLA joins you in calling for affordable housing. The LA Tenants Union is a diverse, tenant-led movement fighting for the human right to housing for all. The LA Tenants Union demands safe, affordable housing and union rent control. They organize against landlord harassment, mass evictions, and displacement, and mobilize for the repeal of the Ellis Act and Costa-Hawkins Act. The LA Tenants Union is on a mission to strengthen tenants' political power through education, advocacy, and direct action. To get help with your eviction or other landlord-tenant issues, take action for justice, or become a member, visit latenantsunion.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The Chase Ink Business Premier Card is made for people who make things happen, like me. I'm Sam, founder and CEO of Manifest, a product design company that makes everyday products designed smarter. I get 2.5% cash back on purchases of $5,000 or more, plus unlimited 2% cash back on all other purchases, which helps us make more smart ideas into a brilliant reality.
The Ink Business Premier Card. Learn more at chase.com/business premier. Chase for business. Make more of what's yours. Real business owner compensated for their participation. Account subject to credit approval. Restrictions and limitations apply. Cards are issued by JP Morgan Chase Bank. Any member FDIC.
Some people won't give you the real talk on drugs, but it's time we know the facts. Fentanyl is killing people. It's a powerful opioid, often made illegally and commonly mixed with illicit drugs. It can even be pressed into counterfeit pills that resemble prescription medications. Just 2 milligrams, about the size of a few grains of sand, can potentially be lethal. This isn't an ad to scare you, but it is an ad to make you think twice. Get the facts. Go to realdealonfentanyl.com. This message is brought to you by the Ad Council.
Be ready for extreme heat in your area. On days when extreme heat is expected, take action to keep your home as cool as possible. Set your air conditioner to 78 degrees. If AC isn't available, close blinds and curtains on all windows and run fans counterclockwise. Or find your nearest cooling center. Transportation help may be available. Learn more at heatreadyca.com. Brought to you by the state of California.
Anyone can choose to make a difference. You can help people succeed, rebuild after disasters, protect the environment, or feed the hungry. Not only will you make a difference for others, but for yourself. You can earn money for college, learn career skills, and make friendships that last a lifetime.
Make a difference. Choose your future. Choose America.
Turning my pain into purpose is pretty much what I have done to start this foundation.
In August 2020, after the death of George Floyd, Bridget Floyd and other family members established the George Floyd Memorial Foundation in support of the Black community.
It's going to take more than just us as a foundation. It's going to take the community, the world, to make a change.
Fight for racial justice for the Black community. Learn how at lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels and the Ad Council.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. Curating the most compelling stories and delivering them straight to your ears. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
I got a condo in Manhattan. Baby girl, what's happening? You and your ass invited, so gonna get to clapping. Go pop it for a plan, pop it for me. Turn around and drop it for a plan, drop it for me. I'll rent a beach house in Miami. Wake up with no jammies. Lobster tail for dinner. Julio served that scampi. You got it if you want it. Got it if you want it. Said you got it if you want it. Take my wallet if you want it now. Jump in the Cadillac. Girl, let's put some miles on it. Anything you want.
See, doesn't that sound nice? Does that sound like something you could do with somebody making $7.35 an hour? I'm just playing. Welcome back into hour 2 of RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. If you're just joining us, we have been talking about Miss Ebony K. Williams and her comments about Black women when they're attending college. Not only should be focused on their studies, if they are family-minded and marriage-minded, they should be looking for a husband too. This is something that has always been sort of passed down through, I feel, traditional white homes. It's not a new concept. It's not something that just came out. It's not revolutionary. It's something that's always been there and advocated for. Really, for a lot of women back in the day, in their time, their sole purpose in going to college was to seek out a partner. Mackie Samuels in the chat says, college provides a large set of potential matches of people with similar interests and aptitudes. After college, it's much harder to surround yourself with aspirational single people who are still idealistic about life and also idealistic about marriage and family. And I think that that is a great point. You know, when you are in college, you guys are looking forward to your next steps out into the world. You're making plans. You have more possibilities. But as we've discussed all week, the older you are, especially as a Black woman, the less likely you are to marry. We know just biologically, not because of anything outside of you, you're born with a certain amount of eggs, and they decrease over time. There's menopause, there's all types of things. Men can shoot sperm for a long, long time. It might be a little wiggly, might be a little questionly, might be a bent tail, and you end up with a missing chromosome. I'm joking. I'm sorry. That was inappropriate.
You know what?
But what I'm saying is men can continue into fatherhood long after the average woman can stop bearing children. It's just what it is. It's unfortunate. It's the real life. So if having children and marriage is a priority for you, unfortunately, as a woman, and especially as a Black woman, who we know our marriage rates are low, you got to start thinking about it a little earlier. And we know that there's a whole downside. There's a whole thing that comes along with that, because marrying young, especially marrying in your 20s, you might feel like there are things that you are missing out on. You may not even know you're missing out on them until you get older. I have come across, a lot of friends or women who may be married earlier or at an early age. And when they get to about 32, 35, their life view changes, or they start wanting different things. That doesn't necessarily mean they want to go out there and have sex and wild out. Just different things in life, you know? Mackie Samuels says, well, wait, Urban Spinster says, well, there's a lot happening in this chat. This is moving.
There's a lot going on. Yes.
I can't even keep up.
I'm invested.
You're invested.
I'm
Okay,
totally
there's a lot of
invested.
story. I'm like, whoa, wait, that's what that conversation's not a part of this. Okay.
I'm a second away from getting some popcorn and just sitting back and watching.
So Urban Spinster says at Atlanta University Center, women outnumbered men 12-1 in the 90s. And come on, we're 30 years past that. I don't know. You want women to, and again, all of this is focused on what the women should do. And you know why that is? Because unfortunately at this time, given the numbers game, men have the advantage. They can sit back and wait a little bit more to make those decisions. They have a wider dating pool because, as I said, they're 3 times more likely to enter into relationships outside of their race. That number has doubled, I think, or tripled since the 80s for black men, especially. So, I mean, the numbers are there.
And then, as Mackie Samuel so wonderfully noted in the chat, that men, they do not, as they get older, they don't increase like their marriage market value. They're not really interested unless they are a high earner.
Correct.
That is actually a fact.
You know, so I mean, listen. It's a lot happening.
It is, and I apologize. I'm sorry there's so much pressure on black women.
I mean, you know, it is what it is.
On black people in general, though.
Yeah. Look. Cohabitating has risen, obviously, right? Those are options.
Well, it's expensive, and I said this on my podcast the other day. After this whole conversation, is that basically everybody's being duped.
Mm-hmm.
You know, men, women, everybody. And if we think about it, we're all kind of in the same position. Everybody is one housing crisis, one banking crisis away from having it all fall down. Everybody is. And we see that every time a point shifts in the market. We've got millionaires jumping off of buildings and all this crazy stuff because everyone is in a bad place. In LA, gas is $6 a gallon. Can't nobody afford that. Even if they could, they don't want to spend that money on that. So everybody is in a bad position.
But here's the part 2 to that. Does that mean that because everybody's in a bad position, and here's the reality, it is easier for 2 people to take on a financial problem than it is for one person, but is that enough? Is that enough? Man, it's rough out here.
Is it ever going to be enough? That's the other question. But that also goes back to people having to reshift their goals and what they're really, concerned about at the end of the day. What's the bottom line? Because when is enough ever going to be enough? Because it seems like nobody's ever satisfied, and then they get the stuff that they've been asking for, and they're still not satisfied with that. So what is it?
I mean, that's human nature, though. No, what I will add, though, is that in the bigger picture thing, unpartnered men, right? And I'm saying men, not specifically black men, men across the board, are having, if they are unpartnered and they haven't, met certain financial goals, they are having a rougher time than their female counterparts. But I think that that's obvious. Women are more likely to help each other to, move in together in community or whatever. And as men get older, to your point, if they're not high value, they might be pushed out to the fold. Andy?
Where's the love?
What do you mean?
In general,
yeah.
I get it.
Where's the love?
I mean, love is
Everything's
there.
about transactions. What can you do for me?
Here's the thing.
It's not about love.
It is about love, but I think here's the thing.
She talking about her biological clock. I need to hurry. I basically need to expedite the process of getting married. You know what I'm saying? Because
she's
my biological, I'm in general,
okay.
And I know she's talking about ladies. You know what I mean? Hurry up and get married because your biological clock is going to wind down, and then you're going to lose your value. You know what I'm saying? Like, I hear that and I understand that, but I think that's the wrong approach. You know what I'm saying? It should be always about love.
It should be. Here's the thing. It should be. But you know why women had to start taking focus of their perceived value and the downslide of it? Because men, especially black men, always make them aware of it. You know what I'm saying? They always do. It's always a source of competition. You know, it is something that comes up when we come. Go ahead.
Oh
Henry.
yeah, and you know, for the ladies, when are the women gonna stop even trying to listen to men or anybody giving y'all advice? At the end of the day, do you? You know what I'm saying? Don't be frustrated. Live your life. Why are you holding even me? You know what I'm saying? If I'm telling you, oh yeah, settle, man, who am I? Live your life. Feel me? Do you?
I think it's frustration. I think it's that a conversation that a lot of women are burnt out on hearing. I think that in the 90s, you know, there was a lot of, I'm going to support my man, love and support the black man, respect and protect him, all of those things. And we're going to hold our young kings up and we're going to stand by them through these jail sentences and the crack era and all of these things, only for some of these men to turn around and say, hey, thanks for the prop up. I'm going to head out over here. And what you got going on over there, that's your problem. Maybe you shouldn't have given me the opportunity, but right now I'm going for better. And you now worthless because you gave me the opportunity and you got to take care of that. But I'm going to go get something better. When we come forward, we'll have more conversation on this. We also have a caller coming up. You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Infusing a sense of fun and entertainment in every episode. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
Heart failure, carpal tunnel syndrome, shortness of breath, stomach issues, lower back pain. How does it all add up? If you have heart failure and any of those seemingly unrelated symptoms sound familiar, it's time to talk with your cardiologist and get the full picture. They may add up to transthyretin amyloid cardiomyopathy. ATTR-CM is a rare and underdiagnosed disease. Recognize the signs and discuss them with your doctor soon. Learn more at connectwithyourheart.com. That's connectwithyourheart.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
JP Morgan Chase is building on the investments in California and around the country to help close the racial wealth gap and build a more equitable future. As part of JP Morgan Chase commitment, they are taking action to help improve financial wealth and access to banking in the Black community, helping more people open low-cost checking and savings accounts, hosting community seminars with supporting Black-led institutions by building awareness about financial investments, hiring community managers, and opening community center branches like Crenshaw, Inglewood, and downtown LA. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Get the tools to help reach your financial goals. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 joins you in standing for education as a right, not a privilege. Charles R. Drew University of Medicine and Science is a private, non-profit, community-founded, student-centered university committed to cultivating diverse health profession leaders who are dedicated to social justice and health equity for underserved populations. CDU does this through outstanding education, clinical service, and community engagement. Recently, Charles Drew University made history by opening only the 5th medical school at an historically Black university. Congratulations, South LA, and congratulations to the Dean of the medical school, Dr. Deborah Prothos-Stith. CDU is now training doctors and providing $90 million in annual economic benefit to Watts and surrounding neighborhoods. To apply for medical school, get more information, or sign your child up for the Junior Doctors Saturday School program, visit cdrewu.edu. That's cdrewu.edu. At KBLA, we are dedicated to equity in education and ending healthcare apartheid, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to more captivating conversation on RSVP with Jill Munroe.
You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. So listen, you know, this Ebony K. Williams conversation gets the people going. We have a caller on the line, Rico from Baldwin Hills. Shout out to you. Thanks for checking in with us, Rico. What's going on with you tonight?
Well, I just want to make a comment on what Ebony K. Williams has said, and I basically want to say that, you know, my heart goes out to a lot of our sisters here across the country. It's just very, very difficult for a black woman to find a good, eligible black man. The numbers are just not in your favor. It doesn't matter where you live in the country. If you just Google all of the major cities in America, you outnumber us. In some cases, depending on where you live, whether it's Houston, whether it's LA, whether it's Chicago, sometimes it's 7-1. It could be 12-1. If you live in Alaska, it's probably even higher. And so when you limit yourself just to, quote unquote, high valued, good quality, educated men, you pretty much cut yourself off to majority of the black men in America, because a lot of black men are not college educated. For example, in L.A., I know a lot of brothers that work for DWP. They work for Southern California Gas. They work for the airport, and they make good money. They work for MTA. And a lot of the brothers I know don't have a college degree, but they're making 75, 80 grand a year. And they live on Normandy, or they live on Crenshaw, or they live in Florence. Some of these brothers even own their own homes, even own apartment complexes. So, again, and they're not college educated. They're just hardworking brothers that would love to enter into a good relationship. But if you block these brothers out and just, at least from what I gather from Ebony K. Williams, is that you got a degree, and once you get a degree, look for a college-educated man, you're just limiting yourself. That's all I want to say.
I appreciate your call, Rico. Thank you for locking in. I will say one thing to what Rico said, and I think that this is the myth. Show me where all of these bus drivers are that are just being turned away from these women. Show me where these DWP workers and SoCal Edison workers are that are just
they're at 7-Eleven.
No. I'm not saying that they aren't out there and they don't exist. I am saying show me where these men are being turned down by droves of women. Show me where the women that they are looking to be involved with are saying, nope, not you because of this. It's not happening.
It is.
It's not.
I hear it all the time because a lot of my friends work for DWP in Southern California Edison.
And they don't have women, multiple women.
They
may not be able to get that woman, but they have women across the board, and nobody is telling these men to settle.
I hear the complaint all the time.
They're saying they can't find a woman?
They can't. You know why? A lot of them is 5'8". And
that's a whole other issue.
And that's the thing, because I'm too short, or they ain't got a haircut that day, and I hear it all the time, and it's the same complaint that I make. I bring it up all the time. You can ask any of my friends, any of my female friends. I make this same argument all the time. Not any. Certain.
Okay. Urban Spinster.
Leave yourself out the conversation.
I am completely out of the conversation. Listen. Don't come over here. I'm gonna do me.
Urban Spinster, I'm not lying.
Urban Spinster says, where the DWP dudes at? I heard that. Empress TZ says, a lot of these men have good jobs, but they're dogs, straight up. Or they're not single. It's a rare few of these guys that are single. And that's what I'm saying. A lot of these good dudes that know I don't have a college, and I'm not saying it can go college educated, not college educated. Men believe that they are the prize.
See, that's not all true.
We are.
That's not all the way true. And Crystal is laughing at me because she knows it's true. Crystal is one of my personal friends, and listen, y'all got to come off this height thing. Is women be like, oh, he's 5'7", he's 5. I don't want to talk to him. I'm like, are you just cut the rest of the population out? Like this.
Check this out.
Y'all be having some ridiculous and strenuous requirements that's just like, come on, like really.
So a man saying I want a woman with a fat behind isn't ridiculous to some.
Oh, come on.
It is. Everybody is going to have their physical preferences, their things like that. Because what I always say, right? Listen, I can be friends with this man that's not a height challenge. We can have a good time. We can go out. But there is going to come a point, right, where you are going to want physical intimacy. And if I'm not attracted to you, That's not happening. And that is not a relationship. That is friendship. And that is very different. And if you can ride with that, cool. We can be friends. We can hang out. But at some point, you're going to want to take things to the next level. And I'm not, because we're friends. And that's what happens when you overlook, right, these little things. I shouldn't have to grow into an attraction to someone. Not like that. You want people to make all of these concessions and things like that. I also think that it is grossly overstated with the number of men out here that are finding shelter with women and the number of broken homes and things that we have. It is definitely not the men that are like, geez, I just want a good woman. They got 3 or 4 laying around, right? But maybe she got a little tummy. You're not telling those men to bypass that. Maybe she doesn't have the whole look that you want.
But women do it to men all the time.
But men do it much more, and they will cast the woman out the door too because of age and things like that. It's just
y'all be liking fat boys or fat men.
There's some that do. I have some friends that call themselves chubby chasers. They say they want to be able to warm up, wrap their arms around them. It's wintertime. You want to snuggle. They like what they like.
How about the fact that more women want marriage than men do?
They do, but the reason why is because historically, because of patriarchy, they were told that their value is being a married woman. Married women are treated better in society. It is held, look at just the conversation that we are having. Married women are respected more. It's as if they have accomplished more in life.
That's sad.
I mean, but men started that. Oh, we have JW on the line. JW, what do you have to add to the conversation? Thank you for calling back.
Thank you very kindly, because what's frightening me is leaving the God spiritual element out of the conversation.
That's right.
And the main priority is know how to put your priorities in proper perspective. Now, it's a human nature or human being nature. Notice how I pronounce that. Human and then being. Being is godly. Human is like earth or animalistic. So we are the highest form of the animal kingdom, correct? Because we have a brain, we can think, contemplate, etc., and have a spirit. All right, now, all of us normally do lean towards our lower nature in reference to sex or cravings or lust. But when it comes to sex in general, because you made a comment about a person's size, or you want to be able to have your preference already in order when you first meet the person, you don't have to go into that person. When you're equally yoked and you have that confirmation, once the man penetrates the woman's vagina, that's when God considers you legally married by contract of a covenant, a spiritual covenant. And then marriage is something to be divine and respected and admired, especially for women. I can recall Farrakhan making a reference to you can judge a country based on how they treat their women.
Okay.
Now, this new society, we frame all these new terms and have all these new words and expressions. And
JW.
You don't want to
JW.
settle.
Wait.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
really
Go ahead.
want it, JW. I really want to hear what you have to say. Can we put a pin in this and we will come back to you on the other side? Right now, we're going to get into news and sports, but when we come back on the other side in hour 3, we'll have more from JW, and we are going to continue on this topic and maybe take it a few places that we didn't expect it to go. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm talking trips to Puerto Rico. Say the word and we go. You can be my flica. Girl, I'll be a flico, mama sister. I would never make a promise that I can't keep. I promise that your smile ain't gonna never leave. Shopping sprees in Paris.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Esther Dillard, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Senate leaders on both sides of